If they do take criminal charges against Goldman Sachs, hopefully that's a harbinger of tougher regulation to come so this disaster doesn't happen again. Now, there's one guy who doesn't agree with me. That's Rush Limbaugh. Rush thinks that you shouldn't blame the banks for the bank failure. You should blame the government. Well, I'm looking forward to this argument.
We have the weekend. Goldman Sachs rotten to the core, meaning Wall Street's rotten to the core, meaning the Washington, the regime has to come in here and save the day, protect us, the little guy, from these bandits on Wall Street, when in fact the government caused the problem in the first place. It was a government-caused problem. This happens frequently. Government goes in, causes the problem, and then sits back and says, whoa, look at how unfair and rotten the private sector is. Look at how bad capitalism is. Why we have to go in there and fix this mess. Look, you just can't trust these people on Wall Street. You can't trust these people in the private sector. I mean, all this unfettered economic activity going on out there, like Obama said, we are the most regulated economy for a supposed free society that I've ever seen.
Hey, you go get them, Rush. You keep covering the bankers' asses. And I guess that's what they pay you the big bucks for, right? And, you know, your listeners are such dupes, they'll probably believe it. He's arguing for unfettered free markets. We had that. What happened? Global economic collapse. And he's saying we overregulated the banks? Every single expert in the field says the regulators were asleep at the wheel. They didn't do anything. Even those same regulators, including Alan Greenspan, come out now and say, well, look, we didn't do the regulation, but it turns out it was really, really hard. Who could have seen that this kind of thing was going to happen? And regulating all these banks is near impossible. Golly gee willikers. So that's why we didn't do anything. They didn't do anything, Rush. Too much regulation? See, Rush doesn't care about you. He cares about his Wall Street friends. And he wants to protect them. So he wants to make sure that they keep taking those risks, keep making the extra money, and keep collapsing the economy. Government is the problem. Look, Fannie and Freddie are a disaster. I've argued against them from day one. But they weren't the ones that caused the collapse. It was the banks. If it was Fannie and Freddie, why did Citigroup go under? Why did JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs and all of the banks have to take TARP money? It's because they had all the toxic assets, and they're the ones who created the toxic assets, not Fannie and Freddie. Look, I don't know if Rush knows these facts, and he's just trying to delude you so he can get a fatter paycheck and he can buy another private jet. Or if he's just so ignorant that he has no idea. And I've heard him make the argument about how it was poor and the minorities that caused the problem in the first place. I mean, unless you're so blinded by the propaganda that they feed you, anyone with half a bit of sense, or that has actually read anything on this issue, knows that the problem wasn't the poorest people in the country. The problem was the bankers who caused the banking collapse. I just get so frustrated that so many of the so-called Dittoheads in the country listen to this guy and they're like, yeah, man, damn government. I hope they get out of the Wall Street's hair because Wall Street's doing such a great job. What? And then we wind up making terrible decisions, and then we have another collapse, and then Rush will come back on the air and tell you, no, the answer is less regulation, and let the bankers do whatever the hell they want. And then it'll go again and again and again.